This is a 21-year project that has just never stopped. COVID has tried to stop us, but it didn't win. Tonight, I would like to show you what the project has done. And it's not just me, it's many students that have been involved in this, including many teachers from Indumu and 2,500 school learners, plus their teachers, plus their parents. So it's a huge family project. And it's run by many people, and many people have got a say in this. So it's Indumu Community Project, education through, for, and about the environment. Tonight, I would also like to thank HCR Foundation, who's actually been my backbone. They've been funding us for a number of years now, and without them, I don't think we'll be able to do this. Plus, our good partnership with Ezemvela KZN Wildlife. Thank you, Richard, and thank you for being there for us. As Richard said, my name is Nomzamo, and I'm very proud of that name. I was given it twice, and yeah, the second time I was given it was at Indumu. Just to show you where Indumu is, and I will highlight it. This is Indumu Game Reserve. This is Mozambique. I work in a corridor that goes right through to Mozambique. There's 5 schools in this area, and this is known as the Tembi Tribal Authorities, and it's in the Hlabalalingana local municipality. And then I've got a number of schools in this area, plus a school which is quite close to, is the Matendra Tribal Authorities, and that's based in the Jazini local municipality. I started off doing a huge need analysis in which I interviewed 2,500 school learners to find out what was going on in that area. Plus I did 58 teachers, 137 caregivers, who is also known as the moms and the mothers out there. The Izindunas, I did 11 that are there. They are the tribal leaders. And then of course you can see the school learners were grade 3s, grade 7s, and grade 8s. And this young man here is the Nyanga, and this is one of my students that are interviewing him as well. So you can see the children are quite dedicated. Most of the interviews were done in Zulu, and so we had to do a lot of translation as well. Just to show you the socio-economics that's happening out there in Indumu. Richard's quite right. It's the poorest of the poor. It's they're really living below the standard, but this hasn't changed for who they are. They're the most amazing people out there, and fun, loving, and they just really want to be recognized and go the extra mile. Some of the homesteads, yeah, you can actually see how poor the community really are. They live off the land, chickens, cows, and vegetables, and they don't even know it, but they are quite green already, and they're harvesting their own rainwater to survive. Here you can see one of the houses of one of our orphans, recycling at its best, where they're actually making use of crates. If there's spare food, we give it out, whatever we can do. And this is actually a pram. Yeah, we've got Lungi Hlabate. You'll probably meet her. I think she's online tonight. This is another one of the homes. And you can see we try and assist where we can. So it's not just education that we are doing, but we are trying to alleviate some of the poverty as well. Just to show you, according to Grant 2015, 4 or 5, at Indumu, quite a few of the homesteads fall under 11 Rand per person per day. But I have found through my studies that there are some homesteads living off 1 Rand 46, 1 Rand 52 per person per day. And it's not showing in this, but we have just classified it all under food poverty line number 3. But by right, South Africa should actually have food poverty line 4 and 5. 61% of the ladies that are interviewed, which are the caregivers, fall under food poverty line 3. And you can see the rest is just the bare amounts in poverty line 2, and of course, just a few in poverty line 1. Reasons for that is the caregivers' academic achievements and basic literacy levels. 44% of the 137 ladies that I interviewed had no schooling. If I asked them to tell me how old they were, most of them didn't even know how old they were. They went quickly to go and get their ID books. Most of the times their ID books were incorrect as well. And if I asked them to write their names, I just got a cross. So 33% could not read or write. And further on that, below average was 26%. So they go to church with the Bible under their arm, and most of them can't even read their Bibles because they've just never been taught how to read. On asking them why they never went to school, these are some of the comments that I got. I was young once and my parents told me that I can't go to school. My parents told me after a year at school, it was a waste of time. I was 9 then. My father said I must get married. He wanted Labolo. I was told education was not good and the schools were too far. I stayed at home to look after my sisters and brother because my mother was sick, so I did not learn to read. School when I was young was for boys. The girls were too old. And another one, I got tired of walking to school. My school was 16 kilometers from my home. I was too tired to learn and hungry. And I had measured the distance that some of these children have to walk. And some of these children walk 20 kilometers to school and 20 kilometers home again. And of course, they go with the empty tummy on top of it. And some of them get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and fetch water from the river. And then they've got to still heat that up to bath before they go to school. Some of the facts behind the poverty from discussions with the caregivers, and this, remember, this is below the poverty line level 3, is 100% of the ladies stated that ate bushmeat. 64% had no water at home. 79% had no electricity, and 100%, that means no waste was collected. So you can see with the bushmeat, 51% of the ladies said they bought from the market, and that's obviously illegal meat. Buy from the community, illegal meat, hunt around home, and hunt in the reserve. So you can actually see the percentage of where they are getting their main source of protein from. And then, of course, 64% said no water at home. They get it from the river. They also wash in the river. 68% collect rainwater. The 31% was JoJo's. There is JoJo's situated throughout the community, and they queue up. In the morning, you drive past 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, you see the buckets and the 25-liter containers waiting for the water to come through. And of course, the no electricity versus fire. 98% make use of fire. And here you can see from 1 hour to 24 hours, they're burning permanently, and asking the community, why do they burn their fires for 12 hours or 24 hours? They say because matches are expensive. It's scary. They don't see the impact on the wood. They don't make small fires. Okay, now most of them are, but it's happening out there. And of course, the waste, no municipal services, 100% burn, throwing waste on the floor, burying, dumping. So it's happening there. And of course, we're working, as I said, in schools. We've got 21 schools. We started the project with eight schools. We're now up to 2,500 learners, grade 3s, 7s, and 8s. And we also do a few matrics as well at Ndumo High School, Zanla Zetu, and Comtech, as well as Impala. Just to show you the map of Ndumo Game Reserve, here's Mozambique. We're just separated by a river which flows. And we've got high schools in blue, and the red schools are the primary schools. This is a school, Kume Primary School, which is on the border of Swaziland. And this school is right on the border of Mozambique, Mudumisa. Here you can see the grade 3 school learners filling in the questionnaires. Their questionnaire was 3-page long, and it dealt with food chains and it dealt with habitats, different types of habitats and their homes, as well as the third page was looking at environmental issues and how they felt about those issues. And here you can see Thokozile Masane. She's now employed with Esimvele KZN Wildlife. And you can see she is not assisting the learners, but just making sure what was needed to be done during the questionnaire. Here you can see 3 children or 3 learners per table, busy doing their questionnaires. They knew they weren't allowed to cheat, that it was seen as a test. And then we also asked them to draw their environment, because pictures tell more than words. So yeah, we got them really in action, drawing and answering their questions. After the whole study was done with the before and after questionnaire. So we first did the questionnaire, then we did a 15 series program. And after the 15 series program, we re-interviewed them, or we redid the questionnaires. And these were just some of the programs that we did. Here you can see the size classrooms that we are dealing with. And we made most of our own resources. This is what we designed. This is a puppet or a mascot. At the moment, we're using it on a chair, but just now you'll see it with a human inside. And this is called Earthaline, and it helps with mapping. We asked the child, can you show us on the map where Indumu is? And the one child said, Nomzamo, if you show me where Spa is, I'll show you where Indumu is. So they've got no idea where they live on the map. And yeah, you can see the size groups. Just to show the mapping, we make use of our own, and this is a kind of the habitat program with insects and reptiles. And we try to fill in, for instance, a spider on a web, a bee in a hive, and a tortoise, and so on and so forth. So here you can see the students in action, my most amazing students. There's Thokozile again, all doing what they do best. And we make use of a lot of puppet shows. We've got a traveling puppet show box. And yes, we don't have ostriches at Indumu, but we try to show them that it's not all about chicken eggs. And we're out in the open, we sing songs, environmental songs, and everything that we do has got an environmental message. Here you can see, and I'll talk about the size classrooms that we are dealing with. It's not easy. Most people say, yes, 20 at max, but we can't do that. Making the program as fun as possible. And here you can see my students out in the open, using the TUT vehicle as a table for a puppet show. Then we also, in the beginning, made our own. I think, Theo, you were part of this one. Theo Nell helped me to design these rhinos with their horn, and I lost a lot of my hair for the rhino horn because they needed to make the rhino horn look real. So yes, I had a quick haircut. And yeah, you can see from the male and female rhino with their baby or their calf, the poacher comes in. And we actually, I think, went overboard here because we had a lot of children that burst into tears. This was Mina Malepe doing what she does best, taking the role one step further. And of course, the rhino horn, and of course, the NatCon arrested her. And that was the end of that poacher. Then we designed Mandla, the black rhino, who is a rhino in the community that speaks isiZulu. And of course, the ladies in the community kept telling me that there's a rhino out there and he speaks Zulu. So yeah, Mandla went visiting and sent the message out of how important rhino horns are for rhinos. And yeah, it does not work. It's only hair. There you can see the children in action singing songs. And of course, there's a big message behind it as well. We didn't stop there, and we started doing dramas at Richard's favorite spot at Naimiti Pan. And the children the child in the yellow jersey is the sun, and then we got the rain, and then we got the trees and the giraffes and so on. And of course, the same thing happened. Everything's very happy until there's deforestation happening, the tree was chopped down and the wood was carted off, and a poacher comes in. But that was the end of the poacher. The NatCon tackles him. Yeah, you can see Silver's dreadlocks flying as he gets tackled. I mean, a lot of bruises were happening there, and off he went to jail. And then, of course, we did an after evaluation, and the children were asked to identify, for instance, species. This was a lion, this was an impala, and before only 63% got it correct, and after the whole 15 series program, you can see there was a good improvement. The same as with the impala, the same with the giraffe, and even a tree. You would think a child would know that's a tree, but they called it a stick or they called it wood. And of course the spider, and of course the food chain, you can see a huge improvement coming in with what eats what. The same as with habitats, the ant and the ant mound, the bird and the nest and the bee and the hive, the same thing, identification, you can see there was a huge improvement, as well as what lives where. And the children were given rulers, and they had to link the ant to the ant mound and the bird to the nest. So they actually had to think before they actually did this whole thing. Then we went further, and they had all the various issues and pictures of hippos being killed and trees being chopped down, and it was all the various issues. And we wanted to see what their comments and what they thought about those pictures. And before the program, the children wrote, it died, people eat meat. Now this is to do with the hippo. Now people not hungry, they killed it for meat. Happy it's dead, it's meat. Good, happy, people now happy. And after the program, they killed it. It is bad, it is now dead. It was in pain, bad men. Got caught in a wire that people set and they ate it. This is bad. Dead hippo, it was snared for food. These people are bad. It was injured by a snare. This is bad. And these people are wrong. And this is from grade 3s. Then that was just part of the program. I've just did a few slides there because of time. And the grade 7s and grade 8s had a more in-depth questionnaire where it was 10 pages, and including they had to draw their environment. And you can see these kids are amazing. They really went the extra mile, and they put their hearts and soul into answering these questions. And you can see we dealt with it like a test once again. And they really, really had to identify different species and answer the ecological questions as well as the environmental issue questions. And then we went on and we started doing the program of water and wetlands. There's Thokozela in action again. We used various techniques. We used puzzle methods and posters, and yeah, even Rand Waters posters came into play, thanks to Grant Pearson from his group as well. And here's Earthaline, where we mapped the rivers, and we just showed where all the areas are and the countries are. And yeah, the children had once again in grade 7 and grade 8, no idea even where Indumu was, never mind Africa. The birds and the superstitions, we did birds, feet, beaks, and we tried to get them to understand the importance of an owl, for instance, that they only eat mice and rats. And we tried to dampen where the superstitions or the traditional beliefs came from. And yeah, once again, you can see, this is Vicky Smell, and you can see the size groups that we were working with. It's not easy, but we only got certain amount of time in the schools without upsetting the whole syllabus. With insects and reptiles, yes, we designed our own books. There's Bongi busy with her large class, but we also went out and we did some investigations and tried to identify what species are out there and the important role in which they play. Then ecological pyramid, yes, we drank a lot of coffee tins, we painted and we designed and we built them and we broke them down. And of course, this is the earth, and the earth can only sustain so many people. So eventually, there was only 1 or 2 people left on the map after it was folded. Once again, dealing with the environmental issues, the human impact, we've got right versus wrong. And in the beginning, that snared zebra, they thought it was inyama, it was just meat, the same as with the hippo, it was meat. This is the type of stuff we were looking at and dealing with. And we had to work with all these situations. And just now I'm going to show you a little bit of data which came out of the study. And here we've got Rion giving a serious talk about right versus wrong. Is poaching right? And of course, we made use of amazing puppets which we had designed and made. And here you can see one of my slip-ups which I made with a black rhino, a mascot. In the puppet show, the black rhino comes and fetches his baby and carts it off. So yeah, black rhino versus white rhino, but luckily the children didn't pick that up too quickly. And yeah, you can see my puppeteers, which are also the TUT students. We really, really try always to try the best method to get the message across. Yeah, we got Tumela Satehe busy arresting a poacher, and a child busy sympathizing with the rhino. And yeah, we got KG, our teacher, also trying to keep our little rhino happy. Plus, there he goes with the white rhino, trying to protect it. With the superstitions, puppets, once again, this is an eco-warrior who's now a teacher. He's qualified. And yeah, you can see from an early age, all what he wanted to do was teach. So we encouraged him to go out and to get his teacher's degree, which he has now done. To do with the ecological link games, we do the environmental pledge. We get them out there at Naimiti Pan, and we promise the earth that what we're going to do just the right things, and we kiss the ground as if we do interpretive drives, environmental dramas, and yeah, we're just out there using all the senses. What do you hear? What do you smell? And we're just there and we're just observing, we're observing life, and we're trying to get them to appreciate the beauty that is really out there and what can they do to make a difference. Learning to use a pair of binoculars was something else, because they've never used these things and they didn't even know what they are. And yes, teaching them about the importance of birds. And of course, my amazing roadblocks. That's the best type of roadblock you do get. And it's not just in Yama. They realize now that that's a giraffe and the ecological role it plays. Once again, with the grade 7s and grades 8, they had to ask, what does the word, or answer, what does the word environment mean? And in the beginning, before the program, these are the kind of answers that we were getting. The environment is us. The environment is our homes. The environment is where we live, and my school. And it's my house and my family. It's all about me, 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 me. I don't think further than that, right? That was before. And afterwards, we got, it is a place where we stay, where all wild animals, birds, and insects live. It also has trees that give us air. So you can actually see there's some knowledge coming out there. It's the environment is all the things that help us. It's like the trees for the air, animals for food, and food for other animals. And it's the sun that helps us to eat, and the soil, and they went on. So you can actually see the children actually did learn something from the programs. And here you can actually see drawing their environment. So you can see the dead fish, trees being chopped down. This is what they're showing us, what is happening out there, washing in the rivers. Yeah, it's quite scary of what the children actually showed us. Then we asked them for bad things that they do in the environment. And these were the things that came out. It was litter, chopping down of trees, poaching of animals, and washing in rivers. So before, 34% of them stated that they littered. I'm sure it was a lot more than that, but I don't think they were very honest there. And I'm not too sure whether this one is really true, but this is the data we got from the kids. And chopping down trees, this is a picture taken in the community of ladies fetching wood. And this is happening every single day because they don't have electricity. So before, 65% said they chopped down trees, and after 49. I'm sure even those figures should be higher. And poaching of animals for protein, for meat, before 54% said they did it, and after 43, and the same as washing in rivers. So that's kind of showing that they do understand that the impacts that they are doing and these things is bad. So they've got some kind of idea. And when it came down to, in their questionnaires, some definitions from grade 4, grade 5, we learn in school what is a producer, a herbivore, a carnivore, and scavenger. And it was scary that grade 7s and grade 8s had no idea really of what a producer was. Only 21% got that right. And afterwards, only 64. A herbivore, I thought, everybody should know what is a herbivore, but only 52% got that right. But after we got it up to 93. Carnivore, the same thing happened from 48 to 87. And scavenger, a little bit more of a difficult one, was 22 to 63% got that right. To do with about traditional beliefs, the grade 7s firmly believed, 54% of them believed owls were bad. And with discussions on owls, they told me people die in their homes if they hear an owl, their clothes burn off. Owls are in the community are, according to them, extremely evil, including there's a 7-headed snake. If they find a snake, I mean, the snake doesn't stand a chance, it's dead. Chameleons, the same thing, baboons, frogs, and crocodiles. These were the main species that they brought up with traditional beliefs. And as you can see, even the snakes from 36% afterwards, it went down to 13%. Chameleons, the same thing, 38% to 12.6. Even some of my students are scared of chameleons and the beliefs behind a chameleon with their lightning tongue that can burn a house down and things like that. The same as with the frog. And Zander, your crocodiles are extremely threatened out there. The same as with the grade 8s, owls, snakes, chameleon, baboon, frogs, and crocodiles. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter with the age. Owls with the grade 8, 64% believed that. And after the program, it went down to 10%. The same with the snakes. We brought in snake specialists and we taught them how to catch snakes, and we did various programs to try and break all these beliefs. And yes, I think it's firmly working because the data is also showing it, and I've actually seen some reactions with the learners as well. Yes, Becky Zabane with trying to get a message across. But the question that he asked the learners is, where did you hear these stories that the owls were bad, that the snakes were bad? And the grade 7s then showed us, their grandmothers, 44% told them that owls are bad, snakes are bad, and followed by their mothers, who obviously got it from their mothers, and the stories just roller coaster, including grandfathers and fathers. But what scared me there, but it's only 1%, but it's a teacher or teachers. And the same with the grade 8s, mothers, grandmothers, neighbors, friends, fathers, grandfathers. So it's the older generation that is actually need, and this is why we started working in the communities, and the older generation where we started to work with the adults. We asked them, what do you tell people out in the community about the environmental actions? And these are some of the topics that we brought up, that what they actually gave me in the questionnaires was, don't kill wild animals and birds, don't chop down trees for firewood and burning, and the burning hours of the fires. To wash your clothes in the rivers is wrong. Waste management, taking care of animals, burning of waste, traditional beliefs, and how to become an eco-warrior. So before the program, this is all from like, don't kill wild animals and birds. 45% admitted to that, and it went up that this is what they said in the community. So the message is getting out there. So we are trying to keep adapting our programs to try and make it stronger, to get the real message out there, and to get the learners to go home and to spread the message of what they were taught in schools and at the Environmental Education Center. Then we also did special days, for instance, World Environmental Day with the learners and with all the schools. Water Week, Arbor Week, Rhino Day, Birding Day, Ranger Day. There were so many special days that we actually celebrated. And these learners actually showed me how to really celebrate. And yeah, you can see with World Environmental Day, their song and their dances are the most amazing thing that they come out with. And they really put their passion is there. They are so dynamic. It's just unbelievable that these learners really go so full out. And of course, Mandla the Rhino, he really, really has got a message to give. And the learners have just learned to love him. Yeah, you can see the fashion shows, the best, the outfits that these learners made. And you know what? Their parents are helping them make these things. And one of the themes was rhino, and they were making the most amazing rhino. This is one of my teachers that has made a difference. He's Moses from Telemama Primary School. And I've never met a teacher so passionate as Moses. And all I can say, whoever is taught by this man is, they must just be so grateful that they have got such a passionate teacher. And yeah, we've got the theme, Under the Sea. Look at the things these kids make. This is plastic bags, crocheted. These children just keep surprising me, and I can't tell you, this is a family, and we just keep going from strength to strength. Yeah, with the Arbor Day, we are planting trees, but we're not just planting indigenous trees. Yes, we're doing that as well, but we're also planting fruit trees, pawpaw trees, banana trees, mango trees, guava trees, because of nutrition. And we know how to toy. We know how to make posters and make a noise. And yeah, we try and get the message out there. And yeah, you can see we outside the spa, we actually brought the shop to a standstill. Yes, Lungile, encouraging the community to celebrate and to try and get everybody to stop poaching, especially when the rhino war was really hitting in Dumu hard. Now we haven't got any rhinos left. The last of them were moved. So yes, yeah, we got Takalani, and we got some eco warriors that Ezemvelo had employed. These are the environmental monitors. And yes, we just didn't stop. And of course, we did the Rhino art competition. And through discussions, we kept on asking, why do the kids know what is happening out there in the field? There they can see it. And of course, there, this last poster there, this poacher's been arrested. And of course, the community had to vote for the best drawings. And of course, the children got awards, including stationery as a gift and books and pencils, you name it, they got it, including food. Then our cleanup weeks, we even get the army involved. This is what the homesteads look like, just pollution. And it's really sad to see. And yeah, we've got Mina Malepe, who's now Mina Butalezi, and her and her eco warriors all dressed up, and we are toying at the best. Yeah, you can see Moses again doing a cleanup operation, dressed to the hilt. This is what he's made, his outfit. There's Theo. There's our old lady, that Ilanda, that Bucky just ran and just never stopped. And then, of course, we couldn't just stop with the learners. So we went on to the community or the adult programs. And we first did an in-depth research on what the community was, what was happening out there. And we kept on asking questions. And yeah, you can see from day one, we started working with them. We started with icebreakers. And yes, no matter the age, yeah, you can see Gogo sitting there with a student. And we're trying to find out what is happening out in the homesteads. Because before we can start working properly with them, we had to know the real truth. We had to know the real facts behind everything so we could design programs to try and assist where we can. And no matter the age, we're doing puppet shows. Puppet shows work best. Yeah, you can see Tumelo dressed up as Mama Togo, the chef. And yeah, he just wanted to kill everything until the owl actually taught him a good lesson. So yes, out there, Namiti Pan, doing the environmental pledge with Becky Zabane. And you can see, yes, they buy plastic, they buy cold drink, but they buy 2-liter plastic bottle cold drinks. So hardly any glass out there. So all of this is just waste. And they buy plastic bags, but only 36% said they reused the plastic bags, and 96% of the plastic bags and plastic bottles were burnt. The same as with the mail program. Here you can see puppet shows work best. We did the superstitions, we did the anti-poaching, waste, burning, and we just carried on, and the program's working. Here you can see our old Madala with Tumelo dressed up as Mama Talk. He doesn't know where to look. He's feeling very uncomfortable. But here you can see Becky with the same guy, and we are working very strongly with the community. It doesn't matter the age, because the message has to get out there. Some data pertaining to the superstitions. These are the top species: owls, snakes, and chameleons. And here you can see from all the groups, from grade 7s, grade 8s, the caregivers or the mothers, the izindunas and the teachers, 81% of the caregivers stated owls were bad, followed by the izindunas of 73% stating owls were bad. Then the grade 8s, but where did they get it? They got it from the older generations. The same as with snakes, all right? The grade 8s were petrified, 60%, followed by the caregivers, and then the izindunas. The caregivers seem to be the top the top human coming out here, and 60% saying chameleons were bad. Here you can see the same as with baboon, but we were very worried about the baboon one because Indumu does not have baboons. But they say there are baboons in Indumu, but I firmly believe, and the way they explain of what this baboon looks like, I think it's a human dressed up, because we've only got the Samanga monkey and the vervet monkey at Indumu. And 57% of the caregivers said baboons, but then there's also, this is linked to the owl and linked to a witch. So the superstitions are really, really there, the same as the frogs, as well as Zanda, your crocodiles. There you can see 41% of the caregivers believe crocodiles are bad, traditional beliefs, followed by the grade 7s. Then, does the financial situation at Indumu have some kind of impact on the traditional beliefs? From the caregivers' data, the ladies that are from 0 Rand to 2,000 Rand, that is 64% of the ladies, 81% of the ladies believed owls were bad. With the izindunas, with the financial situation, 50% said owls were bad, followed by frogs. And the higher the income, only 50% there said owls were bad, and 100% said snakes were bad. And then, of course, what was worrisome, and then we started working very hard on that, with the teachers, because they're the ones that actually get the message out there, that they're the ones that educate the learners. They have 8 hours a day with learners in their classrooms. So we had to get the message out, but a lot of my teachers believed owls were bad. Now, with the species consumed, the bushmeat consumed, is 91%. These are just some of the species that the community stated are the species that they either snare, use dogs, hunt, and this is what they consume, is that 91% of the izindunas ate impala. 87% of the teachers ate impala, and 86% of their caregivers ate impala. Now, the teachers was from teacher workshops. Thanks to Richard, he helps us with a little bit of budget. And now and then we get an impala for a teacher workshop. So that's where that comes in. And that was explained in the questionnaire. Caregivers, impala meat is sold out in the community when the community, or when the izindunas get it, they sell it to the caregivers. And that's part of the way the reserve is actually helping out there in the community. The same as with blue wildebeest, 82% of the Izindunas consumed blue wildebeest, followed by 38% caregivers. And then, of course, the crested guinea fowl. And this is also worrisome, is that the crested guinea fowl are living with the chickens. And many people say they don't interbreed, but I'm not too sure because I've seen some really funny looking chickens out there. And the caregivers state 85% are consuming the crested guinea fowl as food. Followed by the warthog, inyati, which is the buffalo, and the hippo, the imvubu. So you'll notice, if I go back up, it's the Izindunas and caregivers that are consuming that meat. And the reserve does not sell warthog. The reserve does not sell buffalo. The reserve does not sell imvubu. Occasionally there's a problematic hippo or whatever, then yes, it does go out. But yes, the warthog's not sold and neither is the buffalo sold. So this is definitely poached. And the same as with the Sunni, the red duiker, and the monkey. Izindunas, caregivers, you can see the community is consuming a lot of bushmeat out there for survival. But as you can see with the socio-economic factors, 63% of the ladies are living off level number 3, which is less than 11 rand per person per day. Now, where do the community obtain their bushmeat? Buy from Induma Game Reserve? Yes, it happens, and that's good. There are certain species that have to be removed out of a reserve that is fenced. So 100% of the Izindunas state, yes, they are buying from Induma Game Reserve, and 12% of the caregivers stated, yes, they get from Induma Game Reserve, and 19% that actually is also sold to teachers as well. Buy from local markets. This is where the problem is now coming in, because this meat is obviously poached meat, which is then sold to the community. And 51% of the caregivers are buying from the local market, followed by 31% of the teachers. And that was worrisome. So that has now come to a stop, because we have now taught the teachers exactly what they can and what they shouldn't do and why they shouldn't do it. And the issue is there is why. The same as buy from poachers. 61% of the caregivers bought from poachers and 75% of the grade 8s. So yes, it's happening out there. And Richard, from our discussions yesterday, yes, the poaching is a big problem at Indumu. They hunt and poach themselves. 71% of the grade 7s and 61% of the grade 8s are involved in the poaching. They were honest enough to put that down on their questionnaire. So how are we going to address that? And we've been doing this through various programs, and I still think I've still got to hammer this issue. It's just, we've got to start working on it, but we've got to bring some kind of incentive. I've got to either start chicken farms and try and get a different type of protein out there, because they don't just want to have started vegetable farms as well. And yes, vegetable farming is not what the community really, yes, they want vegetables, but they also want inyama, they want meat. And what methods are they using? Sling and catty. 73% of the Izindunas stated, yes, they're using a ketty. And this young little man from one of our schools, I caught him with his ketty. And yeah, birds. They're eating a lot of birds out there. Dogs, sitting at the EE center, suddenly dogs just come straight through the EE center. That was a few years back. 61% of the grade 8 said they hunt with dogs. 43% of the grade 7 said they hunt with dogs. Then snares, the grade 8s, 58% said they put out snares, followed by 30% grade 7s, 26% of the caregivers. And here you can see, coming to do some questionnaires, this is what I found at the homesteads. Then, of course, we're educating our teachers as well. We do a lot of icebreakers, and my students get very involved and very hands-on with the teachers. And this is Takalani doing amazing work, and just showing the teacher we don't just step back, we all get involved. And yes, icebreakers work, we just get people to relax. And of course, our schools are also involved in the Eco School program, which is run with WESA. And we've got a number of schools out there which have got international flags already. They're all working for these flags, and they're trying very hard to make a difference. And we are showing them how to interlink environmental education into the community. We're trying to interlink environmental education into the school curriculum. We're trying to get the teachers to love their environment. And that's the main thing. Yeah, we got Guy Calls from Durban Waste Management, and he came out and he taught the teachers various things of what to do with waste. We even plaited plastic bags to make rope. And yeah, we made use of these ropes to actually pull cars, and even we pulled Mabaki without the rope even snapping. So teaching them dung beetles. This is one of my teachers, Mr. Zulu. This is KG, really getting hands-on, but I'm not too sure about the face. And of course, we got the Eco Warrior program, and some of these learners, this is our teacher that I'm going to be talking about him just now. And sadly, we've lost this Eco Warrior due to leukemia, and all these kids are going the extra mile. Thank you, Rion. Rion's on board. Here's Rion over here. Rion started the Ndumo Bird Squad, and Rion, thank you. The Ndumo Bird Squad is still on the go. These kids know their birds better than what I do now, and sometimes they put me to shame. They are so passionate about birds. And here you can see them in action. Doesn't stop. These learners, these eco warriors just want to make a difference. And of course, we do the interpretive walks and bird hearts, and this is all involved. And here you can actually see our eco warriors are teaching the other learners exactly what to do and how to identify birds. And this is down at the bird heart at Naimiti Pan. Of course, my mom has also been involved in the project for a number of years, and she's taught a number of ladies of how to knit, and they're making a living from their knitting. And I'm telling you, the Santon Kugels would love these handbags. Look at this. I'm a Natcom, but wow, the bags that these ladies are knitting are amazing, and they just keep knitting, and they just keep on making a difference for their families. And of course, we've got projects where we've got people out in Johannesburg and in Pretoria who are knitting jerseys for children. So yes, I would like to thank my mom for being involved in this project as well. So here you can see all the hard-earned and the blisters on the fingers, and you can see my mom loves the children just as much as what I do. Then we've got the EPUB distribution, and I hope Rosie's on board tonight. I know Justin is on board. And yes, through working with her husband, Basil Kransdorff, we identified that there was a huge nutritional issue at Nduma. The children didn't look healthy enough. So Basil said, look at the skin color, look at the scabies, look at all the sores on the bodies. And this is why we got EPUB on board. And this is just extra nutrition coming in. And thanks to Rose, for a number of years, we've had EPUB coming in, and we've been just distributing. And of course, the teachers have noticed the difference. The absenteeism is not so bad anymore because the children are attending school more. They're passing. They are just looking healthier and much better. But thank you, Rose, and thank you for your team from Econocom Foods. And here you can see the size groups that we are distributing EPUB to. If you want more information on that, I'll definitely be able to give you more on this, but this is an amazing product. And of course, we've got the vegetable gardens. And yes, 8 amazing ladies that just don't stop. Yes, the drought did hamper us a bit, but yes, we'll be up and running. And here you can see a vegetable garden right next to the EE Centre's fence line. There's my mom, amazed of what these ladies are doing. At the moment, this looks a bit barren, but we will get back on track. Then, of course, we've got Indumu learners that have gone the extra mile and climbed the ladder. Yeah, we got Tabiso, who was one of our eco warriors and still is one of our eco warriors. and he studied to become a teacher. Then we got Tutukani, who didn't do too well with maths in matric, but that didn't stop him. We sent him to the Wildlife College. He's done a number of certificates. He's now a ranger in Sandparks, and he's now based at Addo Elephant Park. And he's built his mother a house at Indumu, and this is his new prized possession. He said, I've got to show you his bakkie that he bought because he's making a difference in his life. Londiwe in Ngomizulu, she's on my team this year again, and she's busy with her advanced diploma. And she worked on the project last year, once again, making a huge, huge difference. Thokozile Masane, her father's a ranger at Nduma Game Reserve. And yes, she's done a diploma, she's done a BTEC, and she's working for Ezimvela KZN Wildlife. Yeah, we got Lungi Klabati, her uncle's one of the Izindunas, done near Manguzi. And yes, she worked on the project, she did a diploma, she did a BTEC, and now she's employed for Sandparks and based at Golden Gate. Ifram, one of your staff members, she's amazing and brilliant at environmental education. So is Thokozile, so is Londiwe. And then, of course, we got Futi. Futi, her father was a ranger at Nduma Game Reserve, and her mother worked at Nduma Game Reserve, and both sadly passed on. And then she started working for the project from the year 2000 and studied and did her diploma, did her BTEC, and started working for Ezimvela, but based in Harmville. But now she's just been promoted as District Conservation Officer in Greytown. So these are some of the research that the students have done. And it's not just me, it's them. And the students making a difference. It's the Nduma learners making a difference. It's the community making a difference. This is one amazing, amazing community to work in. So, guys, that is all what I can say. It's in our hands to save the world. And yes, you can read this. The world is in our hands, guys. But thank you for taking the time out to listen to me. Chris, yes, I hope I kept to the time as what I told you I would. I know I went very fast, but yes, I had to stick to your time limit. Thank you, Chris.
I tried to answer Michelle Gilbourne's question. Is it possible that a grade 7 and 8 don't actually know what meat they are given by their caregivers? But Doctor, just after that question, you went on to say that some of these children are actually involved in the hunting of bushmeat as well. But yes, any comments on that?
That question went through my mind as well, Ruan, that I thought the children had no idea of what they were eating. And when showing them the pictures, they told me exactly what they were eating. So they were well aware of the meat that their parents were buying. They were well aware of the type of meat the mother was cooking. So yes, they are aware of it, except I would say the younger grades, but we didn't ask the grade 3s of what meat they ate because they're still too young. So, but now there's a question here, the grade 7s and 8s of what we know. How old do you think a grade 7 should be? 13, 14? From the questionnaires, I was finding grade 7s at the age of 19, 20. So they're kind of adults. Yes, I did have the 13-year-olds and I did have the 14-year-olds, but most of them were men and they are involved in it. So we have to adapt our programs to try and educate them about the ecological impacts that poaching is having. And we're going to have to find new ways and different skills development, whether it's rabbit farms or whatever, or chicken farms, I don't know, but we're going to have to start pursuing different ways in order to save our wildlife.
Ron, any other questions from the chat that you would like to raise?
Yes, there's one from Rose Sanderson, and it's all to do with cultural beliefs. And she's asking about any opinion of the residents towards bats. You mentioned owls and chameleons and a lot of other ones. What about bats?
Not one in all the questionnaires that I had. I thought bats would come up as well, but not one mentioned a bat. I had been to 2 or 3 functions where I was offered bat as a meal, but I didn't eat it. But no, but they don't believe bats are evil. No, it's owls, snakes, chameleons. Yes, that type of thing, but not one mentioned a bat.
While you were talking, there's a chat coming asking on how regularly do people eat meat, let's say within a week?
It's a good question.
They eat meat regularly. It's a community that love their meat, whether it's chicken, whether it's goat, whether it's beef. I'm sure they do have meals where it's just rice and pap. But if they can get meat, they will eat meat. They like the meat. But Chris, I would like to tell you, my students from Indumu have clicked on. Maria, Londiwe, and Sibosiso are online, and don't ask me where they got signal from. I presume these kids have walked far and are sitting somewhere with their laptop. Because I came home to link.
Incredible. And to those students, we can just lift our hats and salute you. Thank you. All right, let's see if there are any other questions in person.
Whilst you're looking for questions, there was a question of Dr. Ogilvie about your from Judy Mann, where you could get she could get a copy of your PhD, and I just want to say I shared the ResearchGate link to your PhD in the chat section, so anyone who does want to read it, it's there in the link, can be downloaded.
No, thank you, Rian. It is there. Yes, they're welcome to read it.
Thank you.
A comment in chat, which I presume comes from some of the students. We are 100% behind you, ma'am. So wonderful. Chepitu, you look like you wanted to say something. No? Okay.
Chris, if I may kick off the questions. Maybe some people are a bit shy. Dr. Ogilvie, coming from an education background myself, I was wondering, especially with the younger ones, was there any synergy between your choice of words and concepts that you were trying to convey to the kids with the curricula that is used in the school at the moment? The way you try to, well, actually just the words you use, like environment and the world and maps. These are big concepts for grade threes even. I just want to know, what was the synergy between your work and what you wanted to convey, and and what's used in the curriculum at the moment?
Okay, we did simplify those words for the grade threes. And all the programs that we did with the grade threes were very, very hands-on. That's why we designed Earthaline, the big world, so they can see what the earth looks like. And I know it seems to be very sparse, but I know grade threes are learning basics. So we had to start somewhere with the grade threes because they had to take the knowledge a bit further. So we did link in with the curriculum, and they're learning basic things. The grade threes, yes, they're learning a few books. We have written our own little books, which we printed for them about Earthaline, and we had to say the word Earthaline for them. And eventually they read the word Earthaline, and we spoke about the earth and the big round ball. And on the earth, there's animals like the giraffe, like the hippo. So we try to bring it back into their little worlds that they had, but we have linked quite closely into the school curriculum. I don't know if that answers you. And mapping, we didn't use the word mapping with the kids, with the grade threes. We just asked them on this big world that they live on, and they were a bit lost with that one in the beginning. And we had to show them some big earths, we showed them pictures, and we had to say, where on the earth do they live? And they had no idea. That was the grade threes. So that's why they said to me, if I showed them Spar, the Spar shop, they'll be able to tell me where Indumu was. So we went right down to grassroots levels. And of course, basic things like fish live in water, crocodiles, water. We had the animals that lived on land and the animals that lived on water. We didn't go and say what animals lived in Antarctica or whatever. We just mainly stuck with Africa.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Okay, so I hope that answered, Rion.
Yes, it did. Yes,
Just
it did.
basic concepts. We really simplified the words, and we worked closely with the grade 3 teachers. And they were in the classrooms with us and assisted the students. And because I'm not a qualified teacher, I'm an environmental educationist. And that's why we needed the teachers on board. But now, after all these years, I now know what each and every teacher is teaching and when they're teaching it and what type of methods they are using. And we are now teaching teachers different ways to get the different concepts across, the more hands-on. Okay.
So that's a brilliant, that was going to be my second question, is how involved are the teachers, but you answered that perfectly.
They
Thank
are
you.
extremely, from day one, they're in the classrooms, they attend the teacher workshops, and we're teaching them how to make things and how to interlink environmental education into their curriculum. And I've actually told them to deviate. And I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing, but we need to get our learners more actively involved in their environment, in, for, and through their environment.
No curriculum.
Roy.
Oh, yes, and then Chris, I see that I can't see his name.
There's Lorraine Chitok and Ishmael. Let's unmute Lorraine and then Ishmael, if those are the names you are seeing.
Yes, 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 yes.
Lorraine and then Ishmael.
Hi, I'm just completely impressed, and as I'm sure everyone is. So you are making your own curriculum, or are you able to get curriculum from other sources? And is it possible for you to share with other schools your curriculum, as it were?
Thanks, Lorraine,
Lorraine,
from
yeah.
Chile.
Yes. Okay, Lorraine, we are doing our own thing to a certain degree. We write our own puppet shows linked to food chains, linked to environmental issues, and we designed our own puppets. I've got a lady, I don't know whether she's on board tonight, but she's the lady that makes all my puppets. So I tell her exactly what I need. I try and make my puppets look as realistic as possible, not like cartoons, because we've got to try and link the animal to the real animal. And we want that message to go across. So we are writing puppet shows. We are writing the scripts. We are making food chains out of environmental tins. It's basic things that teachers can do themselves. And I can teach teachers to do this stuff. But they must want to make a difference. They must want to make, and we make our own posters. We draw, we paint, we design things, and yeah, we use it until it falls apart. And then we redesign it again, or we go into a classroom and say, oh, this didn't work. And I did see that one of my students, who's a very good artist, is on board as well. And we paint walls and giraffes, and we painted classrooms. But this was the most amazing thing. My teacher, we painted this classroom with all these spider webs and food chains and food webs. And the teacher said, yes, now she can teach off the walls, which is brilliant. And that's why we did it. And then the one day she said, you know what? These walls are working so well. My school learners are passing all their tests. And when I looked up, I looked at the wall and I said, now I know why they're passing all the tests, because the answers are on the wall. So the children had everything. And Patricia, you online. You're the one that helped me paint my first library and first school wall. But that's Patricia Omesha. She's online. And yes, her amazing art. And thanks to her idea, we started painting classroom walls. And yes, we're making our own things big, and we make our mascots and puppets and stuff like that. But we are kind of rewriting, if I can put it like that, the school curriculum. So they're teaching food webs and food chains. We're using puppets to teach food webs and food chains.
Patricia?
So,
She's smiling and waving. Thanks, Patricia. Ishmael, we are unmuting you. Ruan, if you can check the next questions, please.
Sure. Didn't you by any chance found one or some of the indigenous beliefs or practices that was pro-conservation? Because often you will find in indigenous knowledge systems that some of the traditional practices or indigenous practices were in a way pro-conservation. I don't seem to have found any of such. Maybe you may have found it, but not referred.
That it actually helps the species.
Yeah, help the species, help the environment. For instance, some of the places may be regarded as spiritually, what they call that, you know, the taboos, like you don't have to fetch water from such a place, or at such a time, or such and such seasons are forbidden for X, Y, Z. You know, yeah, that's just something that I find interesting. And maybe within your students, I just feel like it can be one of the research interventions. Yes. Because I suspect that in this transition of civilization development and changes, in one way or the other, we also lose some of our traditional practices and beliefs, which are necessarily good to be linked with the new developments. Thanks.
Ishmael, yes, I have found quite a lot. For instance, some of their surnames are linked to the dove. So a lot of the community will not eat dove. Another one is the velvet ant. They make circles around if they find the velvet ant in the sand, and they try and capture the velvet ant in the homestead because that's a good luck sign, as well as bees. And then, of course, it's linked to the muti plants as well, Ishmael. There's some plants that the community won't touch. There's also some plants it has to, like for instance, one of the plants has to grow next to the Camellia africana, which is the sausage tree. And the people won't eat that plant then because it's too close to the Camellia. So there is a lot. Ishmael, you're right. I think there can be a lot of research done on this. And I think, Zander, we have tried the crocodile one. We tried to get that one off the ground with Doreen. Yes, research, there is a need for research on many of the species that are linked to traditional beliefs, including owls and snakes.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks for that question, Ishmael.
Lovely. Chris, if I may.
Please.
From Rebecca Dorota, regarding the extensive wood and tree chopping, are copicing and pollarding methods employed or even understood by the community as a means of sustainable forestry?
Okay, we just read the question again, Rion.
Regarding the extensive wood and tree chopping, are copicing and pollarding methods employed or even understood by the community as a means of sustainable forestry?
All right, I don't think that is happening at Indumu, Rion. I think every tree is under threat there. And what we are trying to do with the community, and I've tried various methods. I've tried the wonder bag. I've tried solar cooking, and the community, the older generation don't understand how the sunlight can help cooking. But every single tree, there are some that if it's used for muti, only bits and pieces are taken off it, and that tree is not harmed further. But otherwise, a tree is a tree, it's wood, it's firewood, but yeah, there's a huge, there's a lot of work still to be done there. So yeah, if I can get Rebecca's email, I can communicate with her further on this. Maybe she's got some ideas that will help me to try and help trees in Dumu. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. I'm sure we can arrange that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks, Cheryl. I just saw that there's quite a long question in from Gareth Kinra. I want to see if we can catch Gareth. Maybe you could just come into the debate. Is Gareth still on?
Try and find him.
So we can just unmute him.
He's not in anymore, Chris.
He's not in anymore. Okay.
All right, you can email that question, Chris, and
yeah.
I can always email him.
Yeah, he gave his email address and we can send the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe if you can see no one in the in the audience, Chris, there's a lot of questions in the chat section.
Yeah.
Wait there. Zander Pondrink has his hand up. Zander, I'm just spotted you. There we go. Ask you, turn me. There we go.
Thanks, Dr. O. Nomzana, for a very inspirational talk. It was fascinating as always. I got a question for you. It's often argued that poverty and conservation are incompatible. Do you agree with this statement in light of the fact that the reality is that Ndumu Game Reserve is surrounded by very, very poor communities?
All right, Richard and I actually spoke a little bit about this yesterday, and I've known for a number of years that the community and Ndumu Game Reserve are in co-management. So together, they are trying to make a difference, Zander. So they're starting to understand the role that a conservation or a protected area can have on tourism, and it will bring in money for them as well in the long run. But there's also the other side, the socio-economics or the poor socio-economics. So what the community is doing, and we have noted that the poaching statistics have gone through the roof. And I don't know whether COVID has had an impact on that, or people have lost jobs, or I don't know, but yes, conservation versus poverty, I don't know, that's a long, debatable answer, but I know Ezemvelo has taken the best route, and there's co-management between the community and the reserves. I don't know whether Richard would like to add to that as well. Is Richard still on board, Chris?
Just trying to find him. There's still, yeah, here he is. I'm going to unmute. Richard, asking you to unmute, please.
Yeah, thanks very much. Hi, Zander. Haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, look, basically, Ndumu, like many of our protected areas in KZN, are community-based reserves. And in order for us to manage productively into the future on a sustainable basis, we've got to manage with the local, with the ex-landowners, and as well as the local community. Now there's a little bit of conflict out in the community as to, you know, the landowners want everything and the community at large don't get anything. So, but we don't get involved in that type of politics. What we do is we work very closely with the community leadership, and that is the Izinduna and the Makosi, as well as the co-management, the trustees. At Ndumu, it's kicked off very, very nicely. There was problems with the co-management, but those trustees have been replaced. And just last week, I spent 2 days with the Amakosi and also the co-management chairman. Yeah, and I think we've got a way forward. It's going to be difficult. What we do try and do is you know, what is benefication to the community? You know, is it selling venison at a very cheap rate? No, that's not really a benefit. So what we have done at Ndumu, and this is largely due to initiative by the province, is that we've increased the size of the resort and the curio shop, as well as the campsite. And that's going to become a community-based enterprise. So in other words, the community will run, the community will, we will help them. We will build up the capacity amongst the community. But that's real benefit. You know, they're going to be putting money into their pockets on that. So yeah, there are instances. It's not enough, but as we go forward, we're learning, and people like Cheryl help us to do that. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Ander. Is your question answered?
That's it.
Thanks very much, sir. Yeah, thanks, Dr. O, and thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Chanel McCall, you've had your hand on for quite a while.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to start by first of saying, Dr. O, that was totally incredible. I don't have enough words at the moment. But first of all, I just want to say, like, your approaches with the drama and art was completely amazing. I know what it's like to be a researcher, and that's totally amazing and positively engaging. And on that note, I just want to say your ability to meet people where they are and make a difference is totally, like, incredible. And to do a PhD and impact a community is totally profound. So on that, I love the socioeconomic stats that you also showed that completely conveyed the realities of the people. And I think just to encourage you a bit more, I think we need an Ndumu Dr. O model of what you've done in your PhD. So maybe an article or model that can be replicated in other places, I think would really impact South Africa in a large, meaningful way. So just want to encourage you with that. And then also you highlighted some of the things from a heritage perspective that are very new. I've never seen it before, like your fashion show that was made with plastic goods and things like that. To me, that speaks of almost like a newfound heritage of the people and a way to commemorate the environment in a beautiful way that I think would completely fascinate international tourists in the heritage and cultural space, as well as with the community-based tourism that was just spoken about. So hats off to you. I think that was totally amazing.
No, thanks, Chanel. It's better than using a leopard skin. Huh?
Thanks, Chanel. I'm going back to the chat. In line with the previous question, I want to ask also Richard to stay on. There was a question from Shrasha Wisdom Chowke, who asked whether people have been, if there's been cases of people being arrested in Ndumu for poaching. And I would like to be interested what the response was because of that. If you could share that with us, please, Cheryl and Richard.
Okay, Richard, do you want to tackle that one? Because you'll have more information regarding to the arrests.
I'm just trying to find Richard quickly to unmute.
Oh, you got to unmute, Richard.
There we go. We're asking to. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look. Unfortunately, we do come across quite a lot of poaching. In South Africa at the moment, we're going through a scourge of rhino poaching, which I'm very, very involved in and have been for 10 years now. Unfortunately, up north, as we heard a little bit earlier, where we have had fatalities amongst our own people, we have had fatalities at Ndumu, not really our own people, but in the poaching fraternity. And whether it's a poacher or whether it's our own staff, it's still a very tragic event because, people have got families, they've got, they're providing for their family. But to answer your question, with the border with Mozambique, it's probably 19 kilometers. The Sutu River, in winter, it does dry up, so people come across the river fairly easily. Yes, we make a lot of arrests at Ndumu, which is very unfortunate, but we've got to try and keep the place sustainable as far as possible.
Thank you. Anything you would like to add, Cheryl?
No, Richard's covered it. We have had children that have admitted to poaching in our programs, and we've actually sat with these children. Number one, they are underage, and we try and correct them. And a lot of these children have actually said the uncles and their fathers send them in to poach because they cannot be arrested. We also had a case in that older man that you saw in one of the pictures with Becky. He started crying in the puppet show. And during tea, we actually asked him why he got so emotional. He said, from a very, very young age, that is what he was taught. He was taught to go out and kill animals to put meat on the table. And only today he's realized the harm he's doing to the environment. And there must be a different way to actually solve it. So he then started breeding more and more chickens and started selling his chickens to the community at a much reduced rate. And that was from that very, very, very old man. So just shows you, it doesn't matter. You can, age is can make a difference. So yes.